Everyone for coming today. It definitely means a lot that you've taken your time out to come and get this free education. Um, I am Sharitha Miller with Howard Hanna. You can introduce yourself.
Mike Minyar, United Purpose Mortgage. We are a Howard Hanna company as well.
Nick Isvarin with Key Bank. I'm a community development loan officer.
Just to give you a little bit of information about me, this is my 27th year selling real estate. This is all I do, everything real estate. Started off as an investor at the age of 24. That's kind of how I got into real estate. Purchasing 2 families, living in part of it, renting out the other so my tenant can pay my mortgage. And I kept that going with my husband at the time. We kept that going probably for like 5 years until actually buying a single family. So that's how I kind of got into real estate. At first it was a selfish reason. Because I was an investor, I wanted to see the houses as soon as they hit the market, as opposed to waiting on the realtor to send them to me. And then once I got people learned what I was doing at such a young age, it just came to me that people aren't educated on how to buy real estate, or how, I'm not gonna say simple it is, but it can be simple to buy real estate. So that's when I got into more of the education part of it, and this is what I've been doing for 27 years, educating people on the process of buying real estate and selling real estate. Mike, you wanna give a little bit about your background?
Well, my background is similar to Sharitha's. I've been in mortgages since fresh out of college, right? This is pretty much all I know since 1992 till today, is finance and real estate. I purchased my first home in 1993, and the process was so complex back then, where if you didn't know what you were signing, you were just signing your life away. That's why Ohio became a predatory lending state, because people just shove paperwork in front of you, you sign it, and away you go. You had no idea what you were getting. At that particular point, I promised myself, being in this industry, I would never allow my clients to ever not know what they're signing before they get to the closing table. And they understand the education piece from start to finish, and we don't stop there. The goal is to keep you in the house, right? Because Cuyahoga County has the highest foreclosure rate in all the counties in America right now. And the reason why is because the education piece behind buying the home, after you buy it, what happens then? Because you're your own landlord at that point, right? If you're a renter, you're your own landlord. And so you can't pick up the phone and say, hey, my furnace is broke, you'd be calling yourself. And so we talk about those things, education pieces, after the buy. What happens after the purchase of the home? So we go above and beyond. I'm a community lender as well. We do pretty much like work in the underserved communities to make sure that everyone knows homeownership is a reality. It's not just a dream, it's a reality. You might not be able to qualify today, but your tomorrows, we can actually put you on that road to success to make sure your home ownership process is smooth and easy for you as well. So that's me in a nutshell as well.
I'm with him with everything he just said, everything with him. I've been in banking over 25 years. I bought my house at 18 on no income, no assets, nothing. And I used to flip houses all the time through college and all that kind of stuff because my dad was a realtor. So I have 25 years there. For mortgage, I have over a decade in mortgage. Basically, the goal is to try to find people with low incomes that can afford the houses with the lowest amount of money down, best interest rates. Try to set them up not to fail, because not only do you have the mortgage payments, you got water, sewer, gas, electric, lawnmowers, gas, everything. So we try to make sure that they're not going to fail right off the gate. But that's basically what we do, is try to serve the communities and try to help everyone get a home.
Okay, gonna go through the slides a little bit. I'm not gonna read everything verbatim, because I want this to be as informal as possible, formal, informal. So if a question pops in your head and you have a question at that time, you don't have to wait, because I don't want you to forget your question. What's your question?
Is it true that they just changed the law, or that the buyer has to pay the closing costs?
buyers have always had to pay, there was always closing costs on both sides, on the seller side and the buyer side. The current litigation that's in play right now has nothing to do with closing costs, it has to do with the realtor's commission, your buyer's agent, meaning me, my commission.
Mhm.
Basically, what I have to disclose to you, the new law is basically stating, what public has always perceived to be is that the seller pays my commission. Buyers don't pay any agent commission when you're buying a house.
Mhm.
Now, a seller can say, I don't want to pay your buyer's commission, which means that you would have to agree to pay me commission
Mhm.
to represent you. Now, will Cleveland area, cause I go by what's going on in my area as opposed to nationwide.
Mhm.
In our area, we have not come to a place where I'm not being paid for selling a house. I can tell you just one example that I have come into. Let's say, for instance, me and your buyer's representation agreement states that you agreed that for me selling you a house, finding you a house, going through the transaction with you, I'm due at least 3% commission, I mean 3% of the contract price. Let's say, for instance, the house that you're purchasing, they're only offering me 2% commission. Between me and your agreement, you agree, okay, they're gonna pay you 2%, I'll pay the other 1% to make sure you get your 3%. That's kind of how things are playing out right now. Buyers are now, may come to the table with some type of percentage to pay their realtor.
And as far as like your basic standard closing costs, which is non-real estate related, is your title, your lender-based costs, and anything associated with the interest rate, if you wanna buy it down, or if the rate costs us as consumers any money for that day when you're enter into a contract, right? And there's two ways, right? You can pay it yourself, which actually strengthens your contract when you go to make an offer on a home, because you're absorbing all those costs instead of the seller having to. Option B is negotiating through your real estate agent, the seller, paying your costs up to, depending on what type of loan program, some are 6%, some are 3%, whatever the contract price is. And so the seller is actually paying your costs and prepays on your behalf, so only thing you would have to concern yourself with is the down payment portion of the home.
Mhm.
So it's still, if we're writing a contract, if I'm writing a contract and it makes sense, I am still asking the seller to assist you with your closing costs.
And you
Which
can go up to 6% on FHA, 3% on conventional, and then for our special program, we have 4% off for, you know, the key community, low income loans, low and moderate.
So when you saying 3, 4, and that percent,
Of the purchase price. So for an example, let's say it's 200,000.
mhm.
So 6% for FHA is the math over
You
here,
got it, 12,000.
12,000.
You got it.
They're probably not gonna give you 12, it's rare, but if so, but that's the percentage of, so 3% would be 6, 4% would be 8, and you can ask that per, government regulations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have a great agent like Sharita. She's gonna do her job is to make sure that she knows whether this is a home that the seller is willing to, offer seller's assist, even though she's gonna ask anyway, because some sellers are like, no way, I'm not doing that. But it only makes sense. It helps the seller sell their house faster as well, if they're giving back to, the buyer as well. That helps.
And a lot of them too, Sharifa knows too, is they'll bump the purchase price up
To cover,
to cover your closing costs.
yeah.
So if, like, that 200,000 example, they can go, okay, we're gonna sell it to you for 204, and then we're gonna take the $4,000 and give you a seller concession on it.
Yeah, that's where everybody wins, right?
Negotiate,
Yeah,
yeah.
the seller wins because they get all their profits off of what they're planning on getting. The agents win because they get their commissions, and we win because we earn the business as a lender, so.
So the key to all of this is to hire me as your agent.
There you go. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah, because it's especially in today's market, you have to have a great agent who knows how to negotiate and to write a great offer. And just to give you an example, I'm not one of those agents. I'm working with a client with me and Mike now. buying real estate is very emotional. And I don't want you to, me as an agent, I'm not gonna allow you to get into a situation where you're gonna bid whatever you want to bid just so you can, win this house. I'm not gonna have you house poor. So I am one of those agents that I will bring you back down to say, okay, I first I'm gonna ask you what you wanna offer.
Mm.
And then that's when my job comes into play to try to get you to see what type of offer is actually good. I'm not gonna have you house on the market for $215,000. You're offering $300,000 just so you can win the beat everybody out. We're not doing that.
Yeah, because
Even if you're pre-approved up to $300,000, we're not doing that.
you gotta make sure the house is worth it too, because
Exactly.
this is a long-term investment. You know, you wanna make sure you can get the money out of it if you are gonna sell in the next 5 years, 10 years. You know, if it's your lifelong dream and you wanna pay $50,000 over what it's worth, you know, that's one example, but
Yeah.
you wanna make sure you get the value out of your house.
Yeah, even if it's your forever home, you still don't wanna be mortgage poor.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, cause eventually you're going to, over a 30-year period, you're gonna obtain more financing of the property. So you don't wanna put yourself in a situation where you're going in upside down. Doesn't make sense.
Which a lot of people over these past few years, they're
Yeah,
having buyer's
during the
remorse.
pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, they're having buyer's remorse because they just wanted the house and bid as high, and now they're like,
Yeah.
if I
Very
sell
rare
it,
property.
I gotta bring money to the table.
You got it, yeah.
100%.
Okay, that was a great question.
Mhm.
Great question. Let's see. What I want to, basically focus on today is your do's, what to do during the home buying process and what not to do. Of course, the first thing for you to do is to actually make a decision you want to purchase a house. Then your next decision would be to hire you a real estate agent. Particularly a good real estate agent has relationships with loan specialists, is like what I wanna call them, mortgage loan specialists. One of the questions I typically ask people when I first meet you is, how do you think your credit is? Do you have any idea what your credit score is? The reason for me asking you that is not to be in your business, but it kind of give me an idea of who I should steer you to. If you're telling me from the very beginning, it needs some help, it's a little low, I kind of know who has what better program for you. And I typically would give you 2 loan officers' phone numbers, because we want to see what's going to be the better program for you, or the better suit for you. Because there's 2 different types of loans. It's FHA and conventional, and I'll let them get more into that, but all of that is taken into play when I'm asking you questions up front of what's your current situation, how soon are you looking to move? That question for me is the question I ask because there may be some grant programs or down payment assistance is going on right now, that if you're saying, I'm not gonna be ready until about 4 or 5 months, where those programs may not be available to you. So all those questions that I'm asking you in the very beginning, they serve a purpose. It's not necessary to get to your business. And, well, it is.
It is, but it is.
Something the little birdie just said, that was a lie.
But when we start asking questions, then
Yeah,
we
it's to
get
get
into
your
real
business,
business,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I always tell people, I handle the house part, they handle the financial part. So, we'll get into more of the steps of when I hand you off to them, I may go ghost on you for about a week. That's because I'm letting them do their job. Okay? Once you speak with the loan specialist, they will decide, run your credit, get your income information, get your background information. That's when they'll decide what type of loan is suitable for you, and then that's when they'll let you know first, and then they'll let me know. We're good to go, we need to wait. Don't get discouraged if you have to wait, because we're working with you. Now you're part of the family. We're in a relationship. We have to tweak your credit, get some things ready for you to buy. Just work with us, because the end goal is for you to be a homeowner. Even if you're currently under release, once we start the process, I'm working with you so that we can get ready to start working with you as far as go out to look at properties. Probably about right now. I used to do it 2 months before your lease is up. We're doing it sooner now because we're kind of getting into bidding wars now. So I've become even more of an expert of writing contracts now, writing purchase agreements, cause it may take us a minute for us to get an accepted offer. So that way I don't want you to renew your lease if you don't have to, or go on a month to month and pay that higher fee, just so we can have more time to, purchase a house. I would like for, the two of you to speak, I'm sorry.
Far as the, rates for the loans, FHAs is at 3.5 and conventionals at 5 right now?
No.
Where'd you get those rates from?
I'm here to get information.
Look, where you get, look, when you see the silence, I'm like,
So you're looking at down payment part.
Yeah.
FHA is 3.5%, conventional is 5%.
Okay.
That's just the verbiage of what
Actually, you
just
can go
said.
3% conventional if you're first time home buyer too.
Yes. And actually, there's a program of 1% down as well, conventional, so, you know, there's programs out there. for
Yeah, no
easy.
down payments, 1%, that, you know, but, the rates right now are roughly in the sixes.
Yeah,
Anywhere from 6.3 to 7 is the normal in that range right now.
Yeah, and again, I always say this in the last seminar we had with Sharita, everybody's fingerprint is different, right? So you go to the law, they put it like this, it's not gonna be Reggie's fingerprint, it's gonna be yours. So everything is predicated based on what you qualify for, not your mom, not your dad, not your grandparents, like,
Yeah.
well, I bought a house, no. Not your neighbor, not your manager, no, it's based on what you qualify for, you individually.
yeah, the reason I asked, because this is the way my mind thinking, you know, I wanna have the down payment money. And I know when I get in there, it might be some cosmetics I got to deal with, so I wanna have some cheese set aside for that too. So that's why I was trying to figure out.
No, it's
you know,
good planning.
Yeah, we'll have your cheese set
Yeah,
aside.
yeah.
Make sure you're not using all of it, you know.
Definitely don't want to.
Yeah.
alright. Can you, you explain, I'm gonna have you explain in detail about FHA, mortgage, and then Nick, I'll have you do conventional.
So FHA is my wheelhouse. I've been doing FHA since I started mortgages, right? It's just a great program for your more challenged profile, more so than your cookie cut person that's 800 credit score buyer. They can put 20% down even though you don't have to. That's the ideal behind conventional. FHA is for more so the ones that don't really have that profile, right? But you still want to buy a home. And you know, they have a first time home buyer program where you can put as little as 3.5% down. And we talked about it before, the seller can pay up to 6% of your closing costs and prepays if it gets negotiated. Right now, based on what I see, if I have a FHA buyer and I say, I'll give you the wheelhouse of credit score, you're probably looking at somewhere between 580 and 660, realistically, FHA. Anything above 660, we as lenders, we're probably gonna look at conventional, see if we can get you approved conventional wise, right? So that's your wheelhouse, 580 to 659, I would say, right? And then those interest rates are very attractive depending on what type of, you know, down credit score it ends up being. So there's layers to their credit score requirement as well. So if you're below a 620, chances are you'll probably have to put 5% down. You know, if you're below a 600, chances are you're gonna have to put 10 to 15% down, right? And so they don't discourage you from buying a home, you just have to have more assets. Yes, sir.
So what if you above a 7, can you still do the FHA?
100%. I just did a 749 credit score FHA, 6% seller's concession. The client didn't have to bring any money to close. We'll talk about that offline. So, so you know, it's all about your loan originator. How is your loan originator? How are they well versed into that product? I know that product because I'm a former underwriter. So I was taught how to manage and process an FHA loan and to get it closed within a week if need be. So, and most loan officers say, how do you do that? You know, and it's non-streamlined. You know, it's all about knowing what FHA requires up front. And FHA, being that it's a government-backed loan, they're going to look at your income and assets, you know, with a microscope, right? Because it's a government-backed loan. So your 2-year rule, 2-year rule. 2 years of good residential history, 2 year of good job history. That's what they look for. You know, if you have stable income for the last 24 months, stable work, resident history in the last 2 months, chances are you're gonna get a good FHA loan. And their debt to income ratio requirement, meaning your debt load, credit report, and new house payment versus your income, theirs is higher than conventional. Fannie and Freddie stop at 50% in most cases. FHA goes up all the way up to 57%, 56.99% back end ratio as far as qualifying. So you can have more of a debt load FHA wise and get pre-qualified versus Fannie and Freddie.
With the conventional, would they look as deep as the FSA? Like,
Well, some cases.
In some cases, it depends, again, it's buyer specific, right? So-
Yeah, you're right, not every buyer is the same
Yeah,
way.
Not every buyer is the same way, it's buyer specific, right? So, self-employed, you've been self-employed for over 5 years, don't look for 1-year tax returns. FHA, no matter what, you got 2 years tax returns. No matter what, FHA
Yeah.
government products is 2 years. 2-year work history and 2 years residential history, very important, right? And depending on what your credit score is, they may have you have reserves. And all that means is whatever the payment is, they may ask you to have 3 to 6 months worth of that in a liquid account to make sure you can afford to continue paying your bills just in case you were falling on hard times. And I had a good conversation, I had a real good conversation with a client today regarding FHA, and, cause her husband got approved FHA. And it was like, Mike, why is everybody, like red flagging FHA? And I said, everybody's different when it comes to FHA. I love FHA. And reason being is because their appraisal, most of the sellers are saying, well, I have to have my house in pristine condition, to put it on the market for an FHA buyer. So no, right? And so I look at FHA and I say, thank you, because I want the 3 of you to buy a home and you walk in, you don't have any surprises, right? FHA eliminates those surprises. So you're walking in a home, handrails have to be, no peeling paint, all electrical has to be updated, things of that nature. You have to walk in as if you're ready to, outside of cosmetic stuff, you're ready to move into this house, it's move-in ready. Conventional standards, they don't have those, even though they're changing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making adjustments to FHA standard as far as what the house condition is. They don't have all those standards, when you buy a home, because they're thinking in their mind, this person is putting 20% down, so it's no risk to us, even though you're putting 3% down, 1% down, whatever the case may be, but that's the ideal behind conventional versus FHA. So, yes, sir.
What your credentials gotta look like to get that no money down, 1%, 3%? What you gotta look like?
Well, for my 0 down payment, which you did qualify for,
You can use me.
6, okay, well, I don't wanna.
No, use me.
Yeah, okay.
My credit
So,
score's at
your credit
7.
score is 660 or higher,
Yeah.
okay? No lates in the last 12 months on any of your credit cards or anything like that.
Mhm.
The next one is you have to have 4 trade lines, okay? So let's say 1 car, 3 credit cards, or 1 furniture loan, 3 other things, or be a renter for 12 months. And we have 12 months of rental verification. So,
So
For
if
that?
you got more than those trade,
yeah, you have more than that. You're
I'm
good to
here
go.
help
So,
and
here's-
educate and get information.
yeah,
I
so
got
you have that.
like 15 credit cards, installment loan, you know what I'm saying? So that go just like far as in the credit mix, that's 2 of them. But the what is it called? You just say the credit cards. And I got the installment loan, so that put me in.
Yep.
All right.
So we treat it as a conventional loan as well. The good thing with that program is no down payment, no PMI. So like in FHA, and conventional has it too, is with FHA, it's an automatic. You're keeping the PMI.
For the life of the loan?
For the life of the loan.
If you never refinance out of it, yes, that is correct.
So it does go down every time you make a payment. It goes down, goes down, goes down. So, but you have to keep it until you do maybe sell the house, go to another one, or if you refinance, you can get out of FHA and go to conventional. Probably you want to do it once you have the 20% in, so you don't have PMI anymore.
Right.
But a lot of people switch over, get the house the first time FHA, move over to conventional on the next loan.
Yeah, and it all depends on what the buyer has as well.
Right.
You know, as well as asset wise. We do DPAs and all that good stuff, 100% financing, but keep this in mind, right? And I never deter people from down payment assistance and things of that nature. Think about it like this. Again, you're not married to the rate. You're not married to the payment per se for the life of it. You're married to the home. And so you want equity in your home as you're making your payments, you know, because a year or 2 years later, you still want to refinance and get into a better program because rates are not going to be here forever, right? So you want equity in your home. And so if you have money, and I'm encourage people, if you have money, invest into your home because your home is an investment. The market is going to continue to increase over the next 36 months. So we're going to see increases in the market over the next 36 months where you could potentially refinance your home and get into from an FHA to a conventional or whatever the case may be, you know, pulling equity out. So keep this in mind. You know, I know 100% financing sounds good, using, you know, not all your cheese, but investing in yourself, investing into your largest financial asset, which is your home, is a good thing, because sometimes rates are even better when you do that.
Now, this was my plan. If I can get it, no down payment, I was gonna take maybe 10 and slam it on the crib to offset that. I forgot what kind of clock it's called, where, you know, once you pay like 10,000, you jump down like 5 years.
Amortization.
Yeah.
Bang!
Yes.
You got it.
Yeah, so that's why I'm trying to tuck as much bread as I can off the top, so I can slam it.
Understood. And there's ways to do that as well. I was trying to slam in 10 grand in there. It's called a bi-weekly payment. You put in an extra payment per year. By making one extra payment per year, you're amortizing a loan to pay off 3.5+ years.
What is it, like seven? If you make one payment every year on a 30-year loan, I think you knock off 7, right? I think that's the rule.
Up to, depending on
Up
what
to.
your interest rate is and things of that nature, and the loan size itself. But you know, you can amortize the loan. Again, loan financing is a fixed rate, fixed term. Anything with a fixed rate, fixed term, you control. If you want your interest rate to be that 3.5%, do the amortization. What would the payment be for at a 3.5% interest rate, whatever you borrow? You make that payment every single month. Your interest rate is 3.5% because you're changing the algorithm of the loan to a 3.5%. So you're paying off the house a lot faster than what you're doing right now versus what your current interest rate is. So you control what, you know, how fast or how slow you pay your home off.
Okay, so like, this is like if my house payment $800 a month, I just slam 1,000 on there.
Every single month. Why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do that, $2,400, you're adding $2,400 every single year to your home. Now you're building more, you're amortizing your loan to pay off a lot faster than a 30-year fixed mortgage. And your effective interest rate, say is hypothetically at 6.875, you're driving your effective interest rate down below a 6% by putting an extra couple $100 a month. And I know these algorithms, I'm sorry. I'm Rain Man with numbers. So you're driving your effective interest rate down, and you're re-amortizing your loan to whatever that is, whether it's 25 years, 20 years, however aggressive you are. But the good news is your fallback plan, if the month that you can't do that, you always got your 30-year fixed payment to fall back on. You know what I mean? So you're actually in full control of your mortgage.
Now, is it best for him to make his regular payment and then pay that extra 200 towards
Yes.
principal? You pay it separate, that 200, pay it separate, make sure it goes towards principal.
Right.
Or
So make
just
your-
pay it twice a month, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you could set it, depending on who your investor is, the investor can, after you close and fund and start servicing it, you call the investor, hey, listen, I wanna do it bi-weekly, I want, just like your pay, right? Comes out you get paid every two weeks.
Yes, sir.
You can set your mortgage up that way as well. I want this amount coming out this way and this amount coming out this way. That way, you're actually not only doing bi-weekly, you're adding an extra $200. Now you're in the driver's seat. The mortgage company is gonna hate you, but I love you because you wanna do that, because that's the mentality you have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, cause mortgage company make money off of what? Interest, right? They're losing interest the more aggressive you are with your mortgage. But keep that mentality.
So let me
Or
ask
what,
you this.
or what you can do also, but
So let's just take the scenario of 1,000. Say the mortgage is 800. I gotta do 800, 200. I can't do 500, 500, right?
That's what I'm saying, that's a bi-weekly, right? So you can set that reoccurring.
Oh, I could
$500.
because it's in within 1 month.
You got it,
Yeah.
100%. As long as you pay that money by this due date, then you're
By the 15th.
by the 15th every month. You have until the 15th every month before they charge you interest on your mortgage payment.
So the also thing too is, let's say you get into the house the first time, okay, and you know what, I can afford this. Let's say rates come down in a couple of years, you can refinance it and go to a 15.
Correct.
Or you can buy a 15-year loan or a 20-year loan or a 25-year loan. So you can offset it that way too. And if you go to a 15-year or a 10-year, you will get a better interest rate and you can pay it down faster that way too.
I mean,
So-
me personally, I'm like him, I'm a numbers dude.
Yeah.
So if I got it up to the 30, that don't mean I'm gonna wait for 30.
Right.
It's just, that's where I like the
Start.
payment, I like the
Right.
numbers at 30.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm gonna slam
Let's
on
get
it,
some happen.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
until it get done.
So the difference with the FHA to a conventional is you still can put 3% down, you still carry PMI, or 5% down or 10%, but the PMI will get removed once you have the 20% in.
So that's after 20% on the FHA.
No,
No, that's
Oh,
conventional.
this is a conventional loan. This is for scores usually 660 to 850.
Okay.
Okay, the difference is, you know, sometimes with the appraisals, they don't look at the chipped paint, they don't look at the railings. They basically, you can go in the house and almost buy the house the way it is, without having all the repairs done. You know, they are checking now a little bit better, and they get a little more stricter. But the thing is, it's more for the person that is, you know, typically maybe not the first time home buyer, but with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, those are the two government-backed investors. They are now doing, if you make underneath 75,000 income, they're giving you a lower interest rate, lower PMI,
You said Fannie Mae and who?
Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So what they're doing now is they're trying to go to the lower income people. So if they make under 75,000, you can put 3% down, just like how FHA is 3.5% down. And then you get a lower interest rate, lower PMI, because they want you to get that equity in the house and to get that PMI removed.
707, how much?
75,200 is right now, until they change it for the income areas. So a lot of lower moderate areas that we work in, you could be a millionaire and buy in there and get the same programs as everyone else. Or you can make under 75,000, you could buy anywhere you want, and there's no problems with it. You know, other than that, you know, the conventional loans, that's pretty much, it's almost like FHA except for the PMI is on there. And with the debt to income, he's right, usually it's under 50%, where VA and VA is Veterans Administration loan, they can go up to that 57%. And with VA loans, you can do 100% financing automatically because you're a veteran.
Yeah, and then your good loan officers, that's why we.
Yeah.
We'll compare the two, right,
Right.
side by side, not just like, nope, Reggie,
You're going right, you will not write FHA.
This is who you are. No, whatever loan options are out there, your good loan officers are gonna explain to you what the options are. That way you can select, okay, this one makes more sense for me, because we're not making your payment for you, you are.
Right.
So we're just giving you the information, and then you tell us that makes sense, kind of like Sharitha just said. I'll give you the information. You tell me what you want to buy, how much you want to, make an offer on. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, we're going to give you our expert opinion.
Like in your instance, where you might want to buy a single family house or a duplex,
Yeah.
with FHA, okay, that we all do, you can put 3.5% down on a duplex, a triplex, fourplex, and what will happen is it's still 3.5% down, where a lot of conventionals are 15% down, okay, and your doubles are 25% down, okay, so that's a little difference too, and you can afford more with an FHA because you can go up to 57% of your income, and we can discuss income and debt to income ratios. Where conventional you guys stay at 50, so you get that extra 7% to buy a bigger house.
So which one, the PMI fall off at 20%? The conventional?
Conventionals.
Okay.
And the good news is about, you know, I'm the FHA, I'm all FHA, I love conventional, don't get me wrong. But FHA, yeah, you're gonna have the mortgage insurance and the upfront mortgage insurance, but at 20%, if you 20% at conventional, I'm 20% at FHA, I'm gonna get you in a conventional loan anyway at that particular point, cause you got equity. You know, so let's get into the house. The biggest thing is getting into the home the right way, right? And then we'll worry about the future later, right?
Okay.
We're living in the now. How can we get you in the home today? And what makes the most financial sense to get you into home today? So that your tomorrows, your success, you're set up for success to be able to refinance or get into the loan program option at that particular point.
For sure.
Now, do you understand what they're saying when they keep mentioning debt to income ratio? Do you understand what they're saying?
A little bit.
So what it is we take your income, okay, let's say it's yearly, okay?
And let me put this caveat out there. It's your gross income
Right.
before taxes.
So your gross income, okay, so what we do is we take a large amount, okay, so let's say it's 48,000 a year, just for an example. So if you divide by 12 months, we now have 4,000. Okay, we gotta keep you under 50% with all your payments, your car payments, your credit card monthly payments, student loan payments. Okay, there's there was, yep. Okay, well, by the way, we'll speak on student loans here in a second too, because we'll tell you the difference between an FHA one and a conventional one on what the percentage per payment is. Okay, but we take that amount and we gotta keep you, so let's say a monthly house payment's 1,000, okay, so 50% is 2, so we have that room. We gotta keep everything under 50% or 57% of your monthly income.
Yeah, so and you just do the math right now. It's credit report debt, not your utilities or anything like that. Whatever your credit report debt is, typically is like he said, car payment, credit cards, student loans, personal loans, whatever those payments are. Know that's whatever that payment is. If it adds up to $1,000, right now your debt to income ratio is 1,000 into the 4,800 that he talked about, right? And so I do it like this. What's half of 4,800? 2,400. $1,000. I have $1,400 to play with your new mortgage, right? That's how I can help
That's
you
how you do
afford
it.
your know what type of affordability you have with your monthly payment if I'm going at conventional. I do the same thing with FHA. I do the 57%, whatever that number is, whatever your credit report debt is. This is your algorithm between what you owe currently and what your new payment is gonna be, inclusive of principal and interest, taxes, homeowners insurance, and PMI on your new mortgage.
Also, keep in mind too, and I know this is gonna be under the don'ts, is if it's between, wanting to buy the house and getting a brand new car, you can buy the house first, because guess what? The car dealership is gonna get you a car no matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what. They don't care what your income is, they don't care anything. You show a pay stub, you're walking out the door with a car.
Right.
Unfortunately with us, if you're paying that $600 a month car payment out of the $2,400 and you got credit cards and then you got student loan stuff, it gets tight. So always try to get the house before you buy the car, for future stuff. And then student loans, like FHA, there are some conventional loans that do it, is if there is like no monthly payment, like everything was deferred during like the pandemic, we would have to use 0.5% of whatever the loan amount, not the loan amount, loan amount is, and then conventional usually was 1%. Or whatever your monthly payment is on the credit report that you're making currently, we can use that. But in student loans, we have to put a payment in there because we know eventually you're gonna have to pay it at some point.
And that deter people for if you have challenge for credit, they say, well, I got a bunch of collections, things of that nature, is it gonna hurt me? There's a certain threshold for collection that you can have that doesn't count against you. It's usually in the $2,000 to $3,000 range, but we don't count it against you. Anything that's charged off, and what a charge off mean is you borrow money, you didn't pay it back, the bank said, you know what, we're gonna write this off our books, and we're gonna just charge it off and count it as a loss for us. We don't count that against you because the bank already forgave that loan already. So there's different things that, we take a look at that, your student loan has to have a payment, but collections, if they're small collections, we don't count. Medical, we don't count that against you either. If they're small collections, we don't, in most cases, we don't add a payment to your debt to income ratio. But FHA, we have to, unfortunately, because it's a government backed loan. If you can pass an FHA pre-qual, you're golden, because they're gonna make sure you qualify for that loan. But the good news is you have somebody 30+ years doing FHA loans, and I know how to make sure you qualify for that product.
Okay. Now I was just tripping, cause like, it's true, the banks are, what's the word you just said?
Charge off.
They'll charge it off, but then, collection
Collection
agencies
agency.
are bottom debts.
Yeah.
And they'll be at you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're small, underneath the 2,000,
Mm.
we don't, we really don't look at them. But if they're like 10,000,
Right, that's the difference.
because what happens is once you buy the house, that collection agency can put a lien against your house.
Correct.
And when you can't refinance or sell it until you pay back that debt.
Right.
So we do have to be weary about that. Same thing with like IRS and state tax liens and that kind of stuff. If you owe the IRS money and it's there against you, they can stick that right against the house.
100%.
Yeah.
The government will always take
Yeah.
precedence over anything we do. Property taxes, government back. So
Yeah.
if you're not paying your property taxes for whatever reason, get behind on it. The good news is in your payments, you'll never have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But if you were a person that paid their property taxes on your own and you didn't pay them, they're coming to get your house. And where's crazy is tax on the land, not tax on the structure, but they're coming to get the whole thing. They
Right.
own the whole
The
thing.
house just happened to be owned.
Yeah.
They own it, so.
Right.
Also, while we're speaking of credit too, while we're doing the pre-approval, try not to go out and spend more money. Try not to get new credit. And if you are going to get a new car, I always bring up the new car because that's the one
That's the
that
big.
give us a call ahead of time and let us know because it could affect what you can afford. So if you don't tell us and Sharitha gets you a house, we come back to us and we're like, oh, they can't afford it anymore because they
Yeah.
just got the $600 car payment.
Because remember, your pre-approval is based on that day.
Your current credit.
Yes.
I just got American Express card.
Okay, there we go. See, no, we're good. But
Yeah, don't use it.
but during the process too, once we do get a contract, and we'll probably explain that later on, but we don't want you going out there and getting new credit as well during the mortgage process. Like, I want to go get this Home Depot card, brand new, and I want to buy all this furniture and all this kind of
No
stuff.
new inquiries.
It could affect the income. Same thing, that you can't afford the house anymore because you just went out and spent all this money. So that's a do or don't.
Just a quick question, what if you just get, a car title transferred over to you? 'Cause I don't-
Just with no loan or anything, just
No.
you own. Oh,
No,
yeah,
you're
we don't
fine.
even know. We don't even know about it.
Yeah, that
Okay.
won't even hit your
Yeah.
credit.
Won't even hit your credit. We don't even know about it.
Okay, thank you.
And
You're
you have to
welcome.
realize, your house and your car are probably your two biggest ticket items. That's gonna show up on your credit, that's gonna eat up the majority of your income.
Okay.
So that's why.
I'm gonna put this out there, because a lot of people don't realize this. You are a homeowner if you are on your grandparents' deed or something like that, you own that home with them. And so that part is part of your debt versus your income ratio when it comes to property taxes and or homeowners insurance, just so you understand that.
So I should put my daughter on my deed, so then she'll own equity as well.
So you-
Well,
No.
Well,
Well,
because
well.
because it might affect her.
yeah, later she won't
Later
be
down the
considered a
road.
first-time home buyer.
Oh, okay.
Well, agreed, in some cases, it can impact you depending on who you work with. And I don't know Key's product, I know mine, right? It won't impact me, I'm a broker. I'll find a lender that, if you're not a first-time home buyer technically, I have a lender that will still classify you as a first-time home buyer. As technically speaking, you didn't buy the home, you just got on the deed. So I have you write a letter of explanation, I didn't buy this home, this is a family home, me and my siblings are on this deed, so we own the home together as that, and I can get that waived that you're not a first time home buyer. So it depends on who you work with in specific cases as well.
Can both of you guys can take turns, touch on what's currently available as far as down payment assistance programs?
I go with mine because he's going to have way better than I have. We do have through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, again for people who make under the $75,200. is we have $2,500 credit, okay, for first-time home buyers. We also have, where you're buying in a lower moderate area, that's a minority. So let's say like Garfield Heights, Maple Heights, Warrensville Heights, your South Euclids. I'm just giving you areas, Cleveland, some parts of Cleveland. But we'll give you $5,000, up to $5,000 in closing costs, which could help the realtor as well. Is, they're not willing to get any seller concessions. Wait a minute, we're buying this area, I know we automatically got 5. And you make it for 75, hey, we're gonna give you 25, so you can pretty much get in the house for as little as possible. But that's mainly, we don't have any grants, it's just programs through Key Bank and the government. He's got way more.
Yeah, we're the same thing. We do down payment assistance all the way down to like a 600 credit score, So there's down payment assistance for those, but the thing about it is those particular down payment assistance are more riskier than somebody with a 660 plus credit score. So you will have 2 payments, right? The second lien will be the assistance part. It will have a repayment program attached to it. I do have one that's sub 620 where there's no payment attached to it. It's an actual grant, but it is a lien against your property. It does stay on your property for at least 5 to 10 years, and the rates are a little bit higher. So yes, we have a little bit more aggressive down payment assistance programs than the Key Bank. We deal with OFA, Chenoa, you name it. We have them on any community grant. We can do them as well, internal and external. So I have being I'm a broker and correspondent, I can go in-house OFA, outside whatever down payment assistance program that you're affiliated with already. We'll take that and say, hey, investor, are you affiliated with this program? Yes, we are. So
Just watch out with the OFA one.
Yeah.
Because they could stick, I can't remember what it is now, it's 5 years or 7 years. The problem is, if you ever go to try to refinance,
Yes.
you have to pay it back.
Hence why I talk about
I'm talking to whoever,
showing you how to utilize your own money
Yeah.
versus worrying about getting a handout from the government per se, because he is correct. If the interest rates drop to, like, say, hypothetically in the 5s and you're at a 7, of course you want to refi. The rule of thumb is if I can move your money to 0.5% better the interest rate, it's a net tangible benefit to do that, right? And so you want to do that. And so if you go to do that, the second lien is a lien against your property, they're gonna say, no, we're gonna maintain our lien, because if they can't pay us off, we're staying.
So that's what people there are bad brokers, loan officers out there that don't explain that to the client.
100%.
Okay, they're like, oh yeah, we got, we're gonna give you $5,000, $7,000, whatever. They don't tell them that those years rule. Because what happens is, they just, hey, this is a grant. But when those people go to try to refinance, and I've come across it, he's come across it, they don't know they have to pay that back if they want to refinance.
Correct.
No forgivable grants?
They're out there. There's some. They're few far in between, to be honest with you, but they're out there.
There was a $20,000 earlier this year. I think I offered it to you too.
Yeah, it went fast.
It went fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gone.
Yeah, so that's why those forgivable grants, they run out quick. Because everybody grabs
It's first come, first
first
served.
come, first served, and then they run out of funds. So
Any other questions about loan products? The mortgage process? Okay, so once we get past all of that. Once you've gotten pre-approved, that's when it's time for us to actually go out to start shopping, searching, looking, reviewing houses. Prior to going out, you will tell me what your criteria is. Area, I'll ask you what type of areas particularly. I usually try to get at least 1 or 2 out of you. It's very rare that I have someone that says just this area only. The reason being is because we may find your house, and you tell me what type of house you want, I may be able to find that house in a particular area that you may not even have on top of your mind, unless you have some very specific reason why I don't wanna live on that side of town. I have, you have to be like, this is considered the southeast side of Cleveland. So you may, like myself, prefer the southeast side as opposed to the northeast side, Euclid, South Euclid, East Cleveland. So, once you tell me your areas that you're interested in, characteristics of the house, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, I definitely need a dining room, I need a large kitchen, I'm okay with a small kitchen, I need a, certain size backyard, I need a 1-car garage, I need a 2-car garage. I'm okay with a basement, it doesn't have to be finished. Those are all the things you're gonna tell me so that I can find the perfect home for you. I already know what price we're dealing with because you've been pre-approved, so they already told me what dollar amount we're dealing with. Then you tell me your availability, we go out searching for homes. I tell all my clients right now to be, we have to practice, say this big key word, patience. Cause right now we, I don't wanna say we're playing Russian roulette, but we're getting into a market, we've gotten into a market, it's actually been this way probably the past 4 years, where, it stopped like for a couple of months, where as soon as a house hit the market, that seller is probably getting anywhere from 10 to 20 offers, believe it or not. That's because we have very low inventory. So everybody's flocking to the same house, trying to get their offers accepted, and that's kinda how we got all these high price houses selling. Cause people are willing to pay whatever to make sure they get that house. So that's why I say we have to practice patience, cause we might get outbidded. You weren't here when I was speaking. Let's say for instance, you're pre-approved for 250,000. That house is on the market for 200,000. I'm probably gonna talk you out of not offering that 250,000 for that house just so you can get the bid. No, we're not gonna play that game. Because 1, I don't want you to be house poor, and 2, it might not even appraise. So I don't want you getting heartbroken either after you bought the house or in the midst of it. Because if the house doesn't appraise, we have options. 1, I have to go back and ask the seller to see if they're willing to accept that lower appraised value. They may not. Now, if it's FHA, it behooves them to accept it. Because with an FHA loan, that appraisal, is it 60 days now? That appraisal sticks to the house for 60 days, which means, let's say they get another buyer after you. They put the house back on the market, they're thinking they're gonna get a higher price. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They can't sell it because that appraisal is already stuck to that house. Conventional, they got a little more free range, they can go a little higher. But I don't want us to have to get into that situation. I try to make the deal as smooth as possible. Some things I have no control over, like their appraised value.
Also, when you put the offer in too, is if you know that the seller only wants to go conventional, she might go, hey, you know what, does this, we'll go through this, but the client goes, hey, you know what, you can do both. Okay, you can only do one amount up to conventional this amount, you can do FHA up to this amount. She'll know, feeling, hey, there's gonna be 50 offers.
Yeah.
Which one's gonna work.
Yeah, so that's my job. Once we find your house, it's my job to negotiate the deal for you. Once you actually get your home, offer get accepted, we know we're moving forward with this house. Even prior to, let me step back a little bit. While I'm writing your offer, I'm gonna ask you if you want a general home inspection. The purpose of the general home inspection, I always tell my clients, is 2 reasons for it. 1 is for your peace of mind. You're buying this house, yes, I walked through it, yes, I'm educated and experienced with a house, but I never lived there, and neither did you. So it's for your peace of mind, as far as getting a general home inspection. And the second reason is you bringing out a 3rd set of eyes, because let's say it's just me and you walking through the house. We didn't see anything, but a more skilled person that's certified to be a home inspector going through that house, they more than likely are gonna uncover some things, so they always do, whether it's a new build or not. They're gonna find, it's a man-made they're gonna find something wrong. Let's say we find some items, as long as they're not hazardous. I try to teach my clients not to nitpick, because if you buying a house in the Cleveland area, it's old. We might see a couple of cracks in the wall. As long as there are no foundation issues, we're not gonna nitpick and try to get the seller to try to erase everything that's wrong with that house. The main thing is looking for hazardous things. Is the furnace operating properly? Is the hot water, we'll be able to see if it's leaking, the hot water tank. I'm probably gonna already put that in your contract, but I'm gonna replace that anyway.
Mold.
Right, you're looking for mold. I'm looking for foundation issues. I fix houses, so I'm a realtor that I kind of look more detailed in the house. I'm not looking at the cosmetics, seeing how pretty it is. I'm actually looking at the house. cause I'm gonna point some things out to you, and my clients really appreciate that about me, because y'all looking at, oh, this is cute, you're not looking at what I'm looking at, so I point things out. Or I'll say, did you smell that? They're like, what was that? I'm smelling things, I'm
Things in the walls, maybe.
You know.
Yeah.
particularly in the basement, you know, and I point out, and I love to go right after a rainy day, or during rain, to go in somebody's basement. So, you know, and I sometimes go in the basement last, cause I wait for you to get all the thrills. Oh, this is cute, look at the bedroom, come on, let's go in the basement, let's go tell the story. Cause, that's where your mechanics are, that's your foundation, that's what the house is built up, you know, built on top of is the actual basement, so. I look at all of that, and that's the whole purpose of you hiring a general home inspector, cause there may be some things that we may not be able to just see. Sellers are supposed to disclose material items with the house that they know cause they lived here. We don't know if they're really being honest. So, if you decide to do a general home inspection, that's, once we get into contract, that's what you're gonna do. Yes.
How much?
How much? General home inspectors that I've come across is anywhere from $265 to actually $365. And that's just the general home inspection. So there's other inspections that you can pay for. Depending on certain areas, I may recommend a radon test. Certain areas in our, certain communities in our area are known to have high radon percentages. And radon is, the quality of air is considered poor. Look, I was trying not to say it. Look, it's like,
Yeah, poor.
I don't wanna say, it's
Yeah.
considered poor and is known to cause cancer.
That's why they put those in the sockets, the radon,
So, yeah.
or.
Yeah, or they may even put a remediation system in the basement. It's like $1,500.
15,
Yeah.
There's also past inspections if you wanna do.
Yeah, it's like you wanna do a termite
that kind of stuff.
inspection.
Foundation inspection.
Sometimes if you.
Foundation inspection.
Yeah, if you have a child
You might need
under
an
5, you
engineer
may
out
wanna
there.
do a lead base, but typically if it's, I point things out. And I kind of recommend if there's, cause I don't want you wasting your money, we're not gonna get 10 inspections just because. You have to spend your money on, like Mike said, investing in the house. as far as
And that's
that
for
goes.
you. For
Yeah.
us, it doesn't, for
Yeah.
loans, it doesn't make a difference for us.
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference, it's
Just
all for
your
your
peace
peace
of
of
mind.
mind, okay?
But
Go ahead.
get an inspection. Always get, even if it's a new build, get an inspection.
99% of the time,
Yeah,
they will give you the problems.
yes.
Because, once we do the appraisals on it, we're probably gonna find the same problems.
Mhm.
And then the seller has to fix them. Some sellers wanna fix them. Some sellers say, nope, as is, that's it.
How much is appraisals?
It depends. It depends on the loan program, depends on what you're buying, if single family versus multifamily, things of that nature. So you're looking at ranges of $500 all the way up to $900 I've seen. So the good news is, it's disclosed to you up front what the appraisal cost is, and you sign off on it, that you understand what the cost is gonna be.
Now, once we get past the general home inspection part, typically, I have my loan officers wait to order the appraisal, because we need to know if you're gonna be moving forward. I have had a couple of deals recently where the buyer opted to do an inspection, but it was for information purposes only. What that means is, I wanna do a general home inspection, but my inspection is not contingent, the contract is not contingent on what I find. It's just for your peace of mind. We have an option of doing that too. And the reason why they did that, to be honest with you, is they didn't want a contingency on the contract, because they wanted to increase their chances of their offer being accepted. Oh, and then another one, her fiance is a contractor, so if they find anything, he's gonna fix it anyway, but they just wanted to have the house inspected. So again, it's your peace of mind, it's your reasoning behind this, okay? But once we get through with that process and I tell them, we're good to go, we're moving forward, that's when I, put you in their hands, and that's when their ordered appraisal and the actual loan process kind of begins. Now typically, how long does it take for a loan to go through?
Again, depending on the product.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do is that I make sure of is communication, right? It's very, very important how fast communication comes back and forth, right? And so if I communicate to my buyer, hey, listen, good news is we're moving forward. I put timelines in my emails. I need this by this time, I need this by this time, because again, we have a contract date that we need to meet. In order to meet that contract date, we need certain things back by a timely manner that we can control. Two things we don't control that comes back to us is the appraisal and title. We can't control that, that's third party. Everything else internally is our relationship with you as far as documentation we may need, things of that nature. We need that back as soon as possible because we know you have lives. And so your good loan officers are gonna ask for most of everything up front, so that way when it comes out of underwriting, which is the underwriter is gonna make ultimately the decision whether you're gonna get the loan or not the loan officer, they do. If you know what the underwriter is thinking and what they may need, I'm gonna ask for that up front. So that way your life is not, paused that much while the loan's in process because I have mostly everything I need up front, outside appraisal and title, things of that nature. So, ballpark turn time, we wanna have 30 to 45 days realistically to get a loan process from start to finish without any hiccups. If there are any hiccups as well, we need that lag time. My turn times are usually 2 weeks from application to close. So again, I pre-underwrite loans versus looking at it from a loan officer's lens. I look at it from an underwriter's lens. And so my loans close within a 2-week window. But normally typical turn times 30 to 45 days.
It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it within a week. It's not realistic in a way because one, it's on the appraiser's time, and we can't call them. We don't have any control. They took that as a way that we don't have any contact because it's a third party, so there's no bias going in on it. So typically, you could come back in a week. You can come back in 2 days. It could come back in 2 weeks. So we just don't know. But typically, we'd like 30 days would be pretty much nice. Usually the sellers want that too, so they have time to move out of there. So yeah, same thing, 30 to 45 days.
Yeah, and I look at it, if the house is empty, I'm calling everybody and say, hey, this house is empty, I'm gonna get you in the house fast, right? And I know that's throwing this out there, a lot of loan officers don't talk about this. Realistically speaking, you wanna close your loan at the end of the month. And so, cause there's something called per diem interest, right? And what all that is interest from the time you close to the end of that month to start the next month. And so you have to pay that out of your pocket in its form of closing costs because you own the home now. And so banks want their money. And so there's interest that you have to pay from the time you close. If say it's the 15th of the month, you're paying extra closing costs from the 15th to the 30th of the end of that month as per diem interest. So we try to schedule the closing as close to the end of the month as possible to help you, the buyer, not have to come out with any additional funds out of your pocket, right? But if the house is empty, you can close and everything looks good, where we can close early, we close early. So.
Also, there is a technique too, depending on each client, that if you do close the first week of the month, we can't give it to you. By law, we can't have you make the payment that early. We have to go the next month.
Right.
So you could get 45, 50 days before that first payment is due.
Mm-hmm.
So you could actually be living in the house that long. Yes, there is per diem interest and all that kind of stuff, but it might be more worth it. Maybe you have a rent, that you had to pay. Well, you can float it for an extra almost 60 days just by doing it on the 2nd of the month.
Yeah. In layman's term, you close May 2nd, your payment is not due until July 1st. So you got a month off. It's not free, but you got a month off of cushion to catch up with stuff, before your first payment is due. And the good news is, it's not necessarily due on the 1st, you have until the 15th to make that payment as well.
But Sharitha is actually gonna do that because she's gonna negotiate what she thinks the best offer you're gonna get. Are we gonna close at the end of the month, or are we gonna close on the 15th, the 25th?
Yeah.
Maybe it's before a holiday, like 4th of July. Hey, let's get you in that house before 4th of July weekend,
Yes. So now, once you go through the loan process, and they say the loan is approved, what me and you do, at least 3 to 5 days prior to you closing on that house, we go and do a final walkthrough. The purpose of the final walkthrough, it serves two purposes. One, we want to make sure the house is in the same condition or better than when we first saw it. Or two, let's say for instance, during your general home inspection, we ask for the seller to make some repairs. So what the purpose of us going back through is, one, to make sure, check on the condition of the house, and two, to make sure those repairs have been completed prior to you closing. Cause I don't want to give you your keys and we walk in and say, and do anything, you know? So I always do a final walkthrough with my clients. Then once we do our final walkthrough, the closing is, actually, scheduled, but they'll let me know when we're gonna be closing prior to, so that kinda lets me know when to schedule your final walkthrough. Then you, sit down with the, notary, a closer, to close on your, loan, and you get your keys. You always meet with me to get your keys.
Question, worst case scenario, let's say that final walkthrough, they ain't handle their business. Do that offset the deal? What happens then?
We might need to push out that closing date.
Yeah.
Now we're not closing on time.
And that's.
Hopefully it's something minor, because like I
Would
said,
be
we got that 3
detriment
to
to
5
my
days.
pockets or the seller's pockets?
Oh, no, if the seller agreed to make this certain repair, I'm gonna make sure they make that certain repair prior to you closing.
Okay.
And then
Or
prior to the
something,
walkthrough. because-
conversations, they gotta do something.
Yeah, you don't wanna waste your time going through a final walkthrough if Sharitha knows that the seller hasn't done what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, so then that gets communicated to us. We really don't mind when the closing date is, right? It's up to you, and you're comfortable with that closing date itself with the home, because you're moving to that home now. It's your home now, right? And so we wanna have you move in where you're 100% confident and comfortable moving to that house because of how you negotiated the contract, so.
Also, before, you're going through the contract and that stuff too, if, she or you know that there's these repairs ahead of time, like your handrails or stuff like that, it's better to get it done before we get the appraiser out there. Because if they flag it, then the seller's gotta fix it, then there's a re-inspection fee. In most cases, I don't know how you handle it, but we have, a couple $100 re-inspection fee to check to make sure that they did fix it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that you typically, now that's the part of my job I hate.
Yeah.
Because typically, particularly and definitely for FHA, the buyer is not supposed to pay the re-inspection fee. Like, your cousin can pay it, your mother can pay it for you, but it's not supposed to come from you. So then I'm going to, first thing, I always go to the seller, or, see if they're willing to pay it. I usually, past couple of times I got an argument, but we got close. Okay. Briefly, I wanna talk about what not to do, when we're starting the process. We had spoke on, don't open up any new credit, no car loans, and this is once you've gotten pre-approved. Because the lenders don't like to see any new inquiries. New inquiries typically equals new debt. So that's why we tell you don't apply for anything new. Don't make any large deposits into the bank account that you're showing your funds to for the lender. All of a sudden, when they first showed them your, bank statements, you have $5,000 in there. The next time they check your balance, it's $15,000. Where did that $15,000, where did that money come from? Where did that $10,000 come from?
Yeah, let me talk to that real quick, because I have one just recently.
We all have.
If there's a paper trail from the large deposit to your account, then that's not a bad thing, because if they're willing to say, hey, listen, I gifted you $15,000 to go towards your loan, I need their bank statements. They show it came from their account. It wasn't like mattress money or money in the safe. Nothing can be cash, large deposit in this transactions, because, it's money laundering is a thing through the housing market, and so the government is looking at that. Where is this money, cash flow coming from? If there's a source where it came from, we'll need that source.
So when it's just a transfer
From,
my
One of your
business,
other accounts?
that's
My
fine,
business.
that's fine. That's a paper trail.
As long as it's from the business account.
Correct.
it's from a business line of credit.
Yeah, so it's a paper trail. There's a
There's a
source
paper
where the
trail.
money came from.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you go in the backyard and dig up 10 grand,
That's
and
it.
put 10 grand in the bank,
Let's
yeah.
just our scenario, my line of credit is with y'all.
Yeah.
So what I did was I dragged 4 over to my personal.
And we can get the statements for both.
Okay.
Yeah, cause it's all in-house. At
It's
that
all
point,
in-house,
already know.
we can see it, the processors can see it, the underwriters can see it, I can see it. So we can get the paper trail easy.
Yeah.
We just move it right over from one to the other, and it's fine, we can document it. But if you have 10 grand in cash and go in and say, hey, I wanna use this for closing, and I'm, going to the bank and go, here's 10 grand, well, the bank is gonna question you first.
Yeah.
And then we can't use it because we don't know where it came from. Did it come from the Jack Casino?
Right.
Right.
Did it come from selling illegal drugs? We don't know.
We don't know. And so we just wanna make sure we're a source of, so it's called a gift, right? At that point, we're thinking gift. Where did you get this money from? Can the donor actually provide statements that it came from somebody? Cause I was at a family function, my little cousin about to buy a house, all the family is there. I said, guess what? All you guys are gonna give a gift towards our baby cousin here to buy her first home. And so I need bank accounts from you, and you to make sure that that money is coming. I know where all this money is coming from. So they know up front already, I need your bank account just to show that you drew money from your account into her account.
Or just a personal check from, grandma, grandpa,
Right.
because all we need on a conventional, all you need is a check. Just to show who they are, and they're gonna sign a gift letter, and that's it. With FHA, you not only have to have the source, you do have to get the bank statement from that relative as well.
What if it comes from a retirement account?
It's a source.
That's source.
That's a source. 401k, a lot of people using 401k. A lot of people realize you can borrow money from your 401k to buy a home.
It's like 10 grand?
Yeah. So you can borrow as a source. We would need from a 401k or a type of account like that, retirement account, we would just need a quarterly statement. We need the
Terms and conditions.
withdrawal, that you're withdrawing the money from the 401k and the terms of withdrawal, stating that you can't draw money from the account to buy a home.
Also, I just came across this, I don't know if you've come across it too, I didn't even know we can do it, is the person had a 529 college plan for their son, and he got a job, and he says, I don't wanna go to college. So she withdrew the money out of the 529 plan to buy the house.
Yeah, it's a source.
It's a source.
Okay, what's the minimum that you're looking for in your bank accounts when you look?
It depends on what you qualify for, right? The algorithm of the system tells us if it's just your down payment you need to source, or your down payment plus reserves you have to source. So it literally tells us your minimum expectation which you need in your account prior to closing. And just so you guys know, you don't need the money in your account at pre-approval. You just need that money account source that you need for the entire transaction at least a week before you close, you're clear to close, because that way we can, if we need to verify anything through third party, we actually have that time to do it as well.
Don't quit or change employers
You know the-
while we're in the process.
If you're getting a promotion or something within the same employer, that's fine.
I had a question. Well, I did that. I ain't lose my job, but I did get an American Express card to give the American Express card family.
Okay.
So, I mean, I ain't, that, my utilization at 1%.
So what we do is basically ask for a statement
Mhm.
and see what's on the statement. What's the credit limit, what's the interest rate? If it's a zero balance, no harm. If it's the entire 7,000, it might, because usually American Express, you have to pay off monthly, usually. I'm not sure, there are some American Express cards that you can pay monthly, but we take a look at it and make sure it still works with that debt to income level.
And the good news is, if you got $7,000 in your account and you owe $7,000, they don't count it against you. Because you have enough money in a liquid account to pay it if it's $7,000. So they're not gonna ding you, because you already have that asset to cover that $7,000 already.
Another thing for not to do is have any insufficient funds on your account that you're showing, that you're going to show the lender that's where your funds is coming from.
Big facts.
How far back you go? 2 months? Okay. Don't take out any cash advances on your credit cards. can't,
Can't use cash.
right. Let me see. We already talked about, don't go to get, apply for any new furniture loans. That's again, under the, don't apply for any.
Yeah.
You can go shopping, put it on layaway, but don't apply for any,
Or have someone else buy it for you as
right,
your
As
home,
your-
your home gift.
right,
You might be able to pay it back later.
right. That's basically from the list that I have, the things I definitely want you to kind of remember.
And I'm gonna circle back to large deposits as well, because I'm a creative finance dude. So what I've had over the course of the last 60 days of large deposits that I can't use, to go towards a transaction, so I picked up the phone and say, hey Reggie, do you have a relative that has 20 grand in their account right now? Sure, my grandfather does. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, we're gonna back out that 20 grand. You're gonna give it to your grandfather, and then your grandfather is gonna gift you 20 grand out of their account so you can actually use towards this transaction, so nobody loses, right? So there's creative ways
Yeah.
to make sure that the large deposit and, is accountable, we can use it towards the transaction. You just have to have an alternative person that has that type of money that we can gift it from their account to yours.
Or if you are gonna put cash in there, thousands at a time, okay, you can plan ahead. So you can do it months ahead, because what we do is we look at your last 2 months of bank statements, and that's what we look for, make sure there's no large deposits. So if you put it in there a couple months before you buy the house, and we don't see it, we don't know where it came from. It's called seasoning. You season the money in there, so now you can actually use it. People do that all the time.
Any additional questions?
How was the, cause I wanna get condo, that's what I'm looking for, not necessarily a home.
Okay.
How was the condo market like looking?
Tough.
It's same as buying a single family house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it just all depends on, the community, but it's the same.
Also, for a condo, mostly condos are a conventional loan. You can do condos that are FHA approved condos, but
There's
most
two
of
in
them
the
are,
state of Ohio.
yeah. Oh, there's only two?
Two. Yeah, I looked at.
So most of the time when we are talking with you and we're like, okay, we wanna go with a condo, we know we're gonna go conventional, 99% of the time.
And so if you can't do a condo conventional, I'm your guy at that particular point, because I can get a condo approved within 48
I
hours.
would
It's
say
called a
you
spot
use
approval.
approval, yeah.
Yes. So
What is it?
it's called a
Spot
spot
approval.
approval. It literally is the condo questionnaire from HUD. We give it to the condo association, they fill it out. The lender gives it over to HUD 48 hours later, either the single unit or the whole complex.
Oh, you can do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
cause I've done one, over in Bear Creek.
Yep, and I can do non-warrantable condos as
Yeah.
well, just.
Gotcha. Non-oral is a whole nother subject.
That's a whole.
That's all.
bunch.
Yeah.
See, that's why it's definitely, I'm just so glad that you came, cause you can hear different
Networking.
perspectives
Yeah.
from people who've been in the industry for many years. Cause we kind of know not what to do non-traditionally, of different ways of, getting into a property.
Also, while we were on the credit issues too, and car buying and stuff like that, is mortgages is dealt differently than car dealerships. So when you want to get approved with me or him, okay, once someone runs your credit the first time, you get 3 weeks to shop around without affecting your credit.
And you don't have to take his word, I always say, go to myficoscore.com and you can look it up yourself, what inquiries actually impact your scores the most. Mortgage inquiries are your best inquiries because again, that's a large debt that banks want you to get. So that's the least amount of hit on your credit report. The hardest hit on your credit report is every time you swipe your card or apply for a card, credit cards. Those are the ones that hit your credit the hardest.
And with car dealership, just for your own knowledge too, is when you go to, let's say Kia, okay, and you say, I want to go to credit, they'll run your credit 5 times. You got it. Then, hey, let's say I'm gonna go to Ganley the same day.
Yep.
They're gonna run it 5 times.
Yeah.
So your best thing is when you buy a car, make sure you got the car you want. then you wanna go to the dealership, or you even wanna shop around. You know, go online and go to Third Fed or whoever.
Well, this is the game I would add on to you. Instead of going to the car dealerships, go get pre-approved from your credit union.
Right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So you walking in there like you got cash.
credit unions are great. Like, I used to work at Ohio Catholic Federal Credit Union in
Mhm.
Garfield. They had some of the lowest car rates ever. So if you can get approved there ahead of time,
Yeah.
it's just like a mortgage. You're getting pre-approved for a car loan, then you can go out there shopping for the car loan. All we need at that point is the contract and the VIN number, and do it. But yeah, do some shopping around too. You know, rates are, you know, all different at different dealerships. Different.
Yeah.
Toyota is different than BMW.
Yeah.
BMW is different than Chevy, and that's why there's 8,000 commercials, you know, every day on here.
And for the record, just because they approve you for a car loan, does not mean we're gonna approve you for a mortgage loan. That's not how it literally, people go buy a car, so I got a car, I'm gonna buy a house now. Two different algorithms when it comes to credit.
Also, a car credit score, a consumer credit score. Okay, you go, oh, I got 900.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's different than a mortgage score because the max is 850. Consumer loans can go up to 1,400 on credit. So believe me, we've heard it. Oh, I got a 1,400. Well, no, we can only go to 850. That's the max. So there is a difference there.
One thing we didn't talk about is credit monitoring. I used to
I was
own
just about to say.
credit company. Credit monitoring companies are okay for consumer, not for buying stuff, because you're not borrowing money off a consumer report. Credit Karma, if you're relying on Credit Karma, trash it right now, please. And I mean that. I said it on camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Credit Karma.
It's just for monitoring.
It's all it is.
It's like advertising, an advertising company.
That's all they are. They don't extend credit. So if you have a credit card or something like that, or Experian or something like that, they're a credit monitoring company, Experian, and like your Capital One has a real good one or whatever. Anytime, any entity that's extending credit, they'll do a consumer report and they'll give you an algorithm of what you're doing as far as credit utilization over a 12-month period.
How about your bank?
A bank, right?
Yeah.
So they lend money. So if a bank has a credit money, because Chase has one, I use Chase.
too.
Yeah, so they extend money. So it's not your true FICO score, financial FICO score, but it is a good algorithm to tell you how your credit utilization is doing over a 12-month period. So every time you make a payment, you get an alert. Hey, listen, your credit has adjusted, whatever. But when we pull your credit, it goes back to the first time you open up debt 20, 30, 40 years ago, it doesn't matter, all the way up till today to give us the algorithm how you pay your bills back in. So that's the risk layer level that we look at. Because I've actually had a client that has a 620 credit score, FHA wouldn't approve it at all. So I went back in the algorithm, they didn't have enough algorithm in their credit history for FHA to approve it. So I had to get their credit score bumped up to the 640 to eliminate their risk. So it's all based on your credit utilization over a course of time, whether you're gonna go approve, whether FHA, conventional, or something like that as well.
What's home buyer warranty?
Home buyer warranty, that's where, different companies, there's,
American?
yeah,
Like
there's
one's called
American
American?
Shield, there's HSA, there's a lot of them. I personally have one on my home, but you can get one even.
You can buy one for 1 year too,
Yeah.
right? You can do a
Yeah.
1 year warranty.
Yeah,
And
what
it
it
should
is-
cover the water
Yeah.
tank, you
It
know.
covers all your, let's say you buy a house and appliances are included and they're leaving them. It covers all the appliances that were there when you purchased the property. Hot water tank, furnace, some of them even cover your genie out in the garage. It covers the, plumbing to the furnace, to the, hot water tank. They're good to have.
Yep.
Even if we can't get the seller to pay for one,
Mm-hmm.
it's not bad for you to, have one yourself.
Yeah, and Howard Hanna is affiliated with a home warranty company. I know her personally. She's a
Yeah.
great person. So if you ever want a home warranty, we can get you connected
Yeah.
with her. And it's a discount because she's a Howard Hanna affiliate, you'll get a discount as well.
Yeah, I have a new furnace because I have a home warranty.
They don't, what about the roof? They don't do that, do they?
No. No.
I don't think the driveway's covered either.
Nope,
Okay.
nope. Okay, well, I wanna thank everyone for coming out. I have you guys just sign in. I'm gonna be in touch with everybody, I'm already in touch with her. Cause just in case you have some one-on-one questions, talk about condos.
Okay.
Okay. All right, but thank you. Please help yourself to some treats. The more you take, the less I have to carry.
And if you have any other questions, we work well together,
Yeah.
cause this is my second time
Yeah.
meeting him.
Yeah.
He can do stuff that I can do stuff that he
Yeah,
can't do,
please,
so on
please
and
grab
so
one of
forth.
my.
That's why she has
cards,
both of us here, so
Yeah.
if one can't do it, the other one can,
Yeah.
same way.
Randy.